that, I'll turn the presentation over to our Real Care Product Manager.
Good morning and welcome to the Back to School with Real Care Baby webinar. This morning we'll be giving you a lot of information. We'll be starting out with taking a look at some of the accessories and supplies that you may have. We'll be going into the software and doing a little bit with the programming. We'll be looking at the simulation report, touching on the curricula, and then hopefully giving you some best practices and also some product support resources that you will find helpful as you get back into the classroom. Now, the first thing we'd like to do is begin talking about the parts and pieces of the Real Care Baby program, including baby itself, accessories, supplies, and those important curriculum resources. Now, if you're new to the program or you need a refresher, it's a good idea to identify the baby models that you have or are planning to use this school year. Real Care Baby 3 is our current model. Now, if you have a baby in front of you and you turn it over and look at the battery cover, it will identify which model you have. In any case, each baby is about 6.5 to 7 pounds and 21 to 22 inches long. They're anatomically correct, female and male, and come in 7 different skin tones. Now, just a reminder, they do have those lifelike head support and neck movements, so the head will need to be supported whenever it's being used. And you'll notice that out of the box, baby even smells a little bit like baby powder. Real Care Baby 3 has built-in rechargeable batteries and can communicate directly with your computer via a wireless radio frequency. Real Care Baby 3 communication is not affected by things like cell phones or satellite TV, and of course there's no latex on any of the accessories or on baby. And your baby should have arrived in a blue or pink two-piece outfit. Now, in addition to that two-piece outfit, baby comes with a few other items. And as I go through these items, if you find that you are missing any of them and want to purchase them, we'll be showing you our website store where that can be purchased later on in our program. Baby will come with a starter wardrobe that includes a sleeper and a bodysuit. Optional outerwear is also available, and you may have that in your supplies as well. Now, each of the clothing items, including the two-piece outfit, has sensors sewn into them, and this information is tracked in the computer and is reported at the end of the simulation experience. Now, here are a few of the other supplies you may have on hand. A bottle, diapers, and diapers come in pairs. One is a green patch, and one's a yellow patch. Baby must have one of each colored diaper in order to function properly during a simulation or demo mode. And the baby can detect the difference between those two diapers during a care event. You should have at least one ID, and several wristbands come standard with baby. The wristband are the consumable item that you'll put onto the student's wrist during the simulation experience. Now, each of the IDs has a unique series of numbers or letters, 0 through 9 and A through F. And IDs function on a wireless radio frequency about 3 inches from baby. And while students are wearing them on the wristband, they can get wet. They are not affected by showering, swimming, or things of that nature. Now, when your students have baby and they have to do a care event, there are 4 places on baby that will accept that ID. That's the upper chest, the upper back, the lower back just at the top of the diaper level, and the lower front just below the belly button. Now, there is a Real Care Baby Guide app that's available for free for students to download when they have baby home for that simulation experience. It can be downloaded from the app stores in iTunes or in Android, and you just look under Real Care Baby Guide app. They can download it, and it has helpful video clips, information, frequently asked questions, and it just may save a call or two to you over the weekend when your students have baby for a simulation. You may also have what we call our optional baby accessory bundle. As you get back into your fall routine, you'll want to locate any diaper bags, blankets, or car seats if you have them. A quick reminder that car seat detection is a feature on Real Care Baby 3. In order for that data to be collected during the simulation, you must have the car seat detection tags installed in your car seats. And detector kits can be ordered from the RealityWorks website store if you have older car seats and wish to outfit those with those detector kits. The detector kit looks like you see on the screen in front of you in the lower right-hand corner. It's the 2 cards with sticky backside, and you install them underneath the cloth in the car seat, and once they're installed, they stay installed until you take them out. In order to run your Real Care program, you do need what we call the starter kit. Now, this includes a few items. Currently, many of these items are available online, and you are sent a link with your baby order that gives you access online to the following items. Control Center software, you must have this in order to program baby. You get the X-Stick wireless communication adapter, which is the green, kind of looks like a USB drive, and it's the communication device that transmits information from baby to the software and back again. You'll also have access to a participant care video. That's a 9-minute video that we highly recommend that students watch prior to taking baby home that shows how to care for all of the events during a simulation. You'll also receive a curriculum, which has access to 4 different curricula, and we'll get more into detail on that later in the webinar. You'll also receive a charging mechanism of some sort. It will be either a single charger or a 5-baby charging station. And last, you'll receive an instructor key. This key should be put someplace safe where you can find it. You'll rarely need it, but should your batteries need to be changed or you have a technical issue, sometimes you'll have to open that baby back, and that's what that key is used for. So let's take a closer look now at RealCare Baby 3. First of all, if you turn it over, again, you'll see the battery cover, which shows the model that you have. And the first button is called the recessed button, also known as the emergency stop button. And should you ever need to stop baby mid simulation, you would tell someone to hold a paper clip or a pen into that recessed button for 6 chimes and release it, and that would stop the baby or the simulation. The next series of buttons are red lights, green lights, and yellow lights. Now, the red light is the battery light, and when the red light is flashing, that means you need to charge the baby before sending it out. Once it's fully charged, the red light will show solid. The next light is the green light, and that's the charging indicator. When you plug baby in to charge it, the green light goes on, and when it's fully charged, the green light turns itself off. That next light is a yellow light, and that's known as the communication light. This light will go on solid when the baby is communicating with the software. And this typically happens when you're sending the simulation programming information to the baby, and then also when baby comes back in after a simulation and it's downloading all of the results. Next, you'll see an indent called the charging port, and that's where you plug the charger into the back of the baby, and then you plug the charger into the wall. Now, a full charge is 6 to 8 hours or generally overnight, and that will generally be enough for a 5 to 7 day simulation. And last, there's something called the battery compartment lock. And again, it's under the diaper line. That's where you would put that key in, turn it a quarter of a turn, and it would open that battery back, and you would have access to the serial number as well as the battery pack. So let's take a closer look at Control Center software and how to add our babies. Now, this is the screen that you will see when you launch your Control Center software. Now, it's important to know that you have the X-Stick plugged in prior to launching your software. Otherwise, you'll get an error message. Now, the first step when you get onto this screen is always going to be to add your babies the very first time you're going to use them. And I'm going to do that step right now. So what I'm going to do is take a paper clip and I'm going to put it in the recessed button and hold it down for 2 chimes. And I'm going to release. And on the screen, you should see my baby add. Now, it's important for this step to happen because in order to work with a baby and program it, it must be added to your software. And you can see the information below that gives you those steps in case you forget. And you can see that my baby did, in fact, add. So now that we've done that step, we're going to go into available babies because these are the babies that are available to program for a simulation. So you're going to click on the box in front of the baby you wish to work with and program your baby. Now, if you want more in-depth programming information and how to go into demonstration mode, we have got a webinar that I will point you to at the end of the webinar today that's been archived that we did earlier that will give you much more information about the programming aspect than I'm going to cover this morning. But I'm going to go through this screen so that you can see all of the drop-down menus. The first step will be to assign a class folder that you want the report to go into. And you can create that. I'm going to call mine perhaps Parenting Hour 3. And that will be the folder that all of my reports will go into for this particular simulation. We'll name my student Emily, and we're going to give her the baby that I've got in front of me here. And the ID 1, that's known as the parenting ID, and that's the ID that we want to assign to Emily and put on the wristband when she takes baby home. And again, I'm looking at that series of numbers and letters on this ID, and I'm going to click Edit, and I'm going to type them in there. So I'm going to do that right now. And I'm done. Next, ID 2 would be the babysitter ID. If you allow for that second ID to go home, that's optional. In this case, I'm going to choose not to do that, so we'll just leave that field alone and move on. You can choose to let your student name the baby, or you can name it for them. I'm going to name it for her, and I'm going to call it Denise. Now, the baby ID that you see here is a way for you to organize the babies in your program. It will default to the numbers and letters that you see on the wristband that comes with the baby, but you have the option to change that, and it's especially helpful if you have a large program. If you have multiple babies, you could call them baby 1, 2, 3, or baby ABCD. For my purposes here, I've got one, so I'm going to leave it be. The gender and ethnicity are drop-down menus again that you can choose to change or to keep or not use. Those are optional. Last, you're going to figure out when you want to start and end your simulation, and you can program up to 1 week in advance. So I'm going to choose, I want babies to go out on Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning. When they get to school, they can pick them up. And I want them to bring them back on Thursday morning on their way to their first class. Now I get to decide how difficult or easy I want to make the simulation experience for that specific student. So I go on to schedule helper, and you'll see 15 schedules are available. And those schedules are based on the diaries kept by parents of 15 real newborns. 5 of them are easy, some are medium, and some are hard. And you can click on random, and it will be a mix of the 3. So depending on your student, you can choose to make it difficult, easy, or random. Now, if you have special needs students, we recommend using the easy mix and having parents come in ahead of time and working with the baby so that they know what to expect. But if you got an at-risk student that you really want to show realistically what it's like to be a new parent, I would choose hard mix. Once you've chosen your schedule, you click OK. And the last decision is if you want to allow for a quiet time, and you can have up to 3. And quiet times are helpful if your students have a job or a school event or something and they cannot care for baby. So we'll say, oh, Emily has a job and she has a shift Wednesday night after school starting at 4 o'clock for 3 hours. So during her work shift, baby will not cry for care. So she can go off to work, and then when she gets done, the simulation will start up again as if nothing had happened. So that's what those are. That's what those are for. That's optional. So once you've made those decisions, you click done, and you send it to the baby. Now my baby will chime when it receives that command, and you heard it chime just right now, and that simulation would be ready to go. Now, if I don't want that simulation to start, I would go into my active folder, and that's babies that are actively programmed to begin a simulation or are out on a simulation. And you can click stop, and it will stop that simulation from happening. Again, baby chimes because they've received that command. So those are just a few pointers for using Control Center software. But again, more details available in other webinars that we have archived. Now, one thing to point out is demonstration mode is a great one to use prior to sending babies out. If students have no experience, they can do all 4 care events in demonstration mode till they're very comfortable, and then they'll feel very successful when they go home with baby for a real simulation. Now, there are a few things called mishandle events that will take points away on the simulation report that we want to make you aware of, and you need to make your students aware of these. The 4 things are head support failure, shaken baby, wrong position, and rough handling. Head support failure happens when baby's head is not supported and falls back. Shaken baby is that forceful back and forth, violent motion 2 or 3 times within a second. Wrong position is if you held baby upside down or on its face. And rough handling is if you kicked it, dropped it, or handled it roughly. Any of those will be recorded in the baby's computer and reported and take off -3 points for each event. However, you as the instructor have the ability to change that rubric and customize it to what you believe each of those should be worth. Now, there are 4 reasons baby will shut down mid-simulation as well. We've talked about the emergency shutdown already. Battery shutdown happens if you don't have your batteries fully charged and they run out of battery juice. They simply shut down. Neglect happens when baby is not, nothing's done with it for 12 hours and it simply shuts itself off. And an abuse shutdown is a combination of 24 of the mishandle events in total. And after the 24th one, it will shut itself down. And on the simulation report, it will indicate each separate type of shutdown so you know exactly what happened with those babies during the simulation. Now let's take a closer look at the simulation report. This is page 1 of the Real Care Baby 3 report, and on the top it identifies all the information about the student and the baby. And you will notice up here it has total minutes of crying time during the simulation. The fewer the crying minutes, the better. The left-hand side has all of the care events that happened and how the student did with each one of those 4 care events, giving it a performance percentage. On the right-hand side are the mishandles, and again, those 4 mishandles, in this particular example, were taken off -3, and the mishandles are minus from the overall average percentage for the care events, and that's where you get this performance overview score. Now you'll see here it says ID1 was used so many times. That's that parent ID. If ID2 was used, it would indicate that next to it as well. Now there would be an issue if ID2 were used more times than ID1. That would be a talking point with your student. And below you'll see all the detail. It's time and date stamped for any mishandle event or any missed care event. And again, you can see if there's patterns among your student, if they've got an area that they need to work on or improve, if they had some issues, you can talk to them about exactly what date and time those issues happened. Now, page 2 is information that comes only with Real Care Baby 3. It's the environmental care data page. At the top, you'll see the temperature data, and throughout the simulation, baby is recording the ambient temp around it, and if it's left in a hot or cold environment over time, you will see that graph into the hot or the cold zone, especially if it's left in, say, like a car or that kind of thing. The information below it is of the clothing data. So it will show what time a baby had any item of clothing on during the simulation or didn't have it on. For example, in this example, you'll see areas or times when baby had no diaper, and there should never be a time where baby does not have a diaper. So again, talk to your students about that information. And lastly, you see the car seat detection data here, and it goes on solid when it's in the car seat. And down below, again, is a graph that kind of summarizes the graphed information. So for example, in the car seat data, on day 2 of the simulation, it was sitting in the car seat 20 of 24 hours. You as the instructor can tell your students what you think is the appropriate level and make that call. Now, some of you out there may be handling a blended program where you've bought some Real Care Baby 3s, but you maybe have some older models. And in this instance, we'll say 2 pluses. Those are fairly easy to handle if you've got both. And here's just a few tips for what you can do with a blended program. First of all, you should know you program both of them exactly the same way with the software, so there's no change. The only real change is on the reporting end where you get that second page of data with Real Care Baby 3. Need to go back. Here we go. A few tips for handling that blended program. First of all, if you have Real Care Baby 2 pluses, you could use those at the middle school level as a beginner model or beginner program, and you could use the 3s at the high school level for an advanced program. You could put everybody's name in a hat and you could draw randomly for who gets 2 pluses and 3s, and the people that get 3s just know that they'll get more data at the end. You could use all of your models, say 2 pluses for perhaps child development, and you could use your 3s for parenting if you use them in more than one course. So there's different ways to handle that blended program until you can get all over to Real Care Baby 3. Now you have access to several curricula, and I can't overemphasize the importance of taking a look at this as a resource. There are thousands of pages, hundreds of activities, ready to use, ready to go, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Now, the first one is basic infant care, and that has a focus on child care career skills. And that's especially helpful if you are training someone for a certification in early childhood. Those lessons actively use baby during them to practice those hands-on caregiving skills. Healthy Choices is our high school teen pregnancy prevention program. And then parenting is kind of a 0 to 2 curriculum used for parenting and child development classes. But all 3 of these culminate with students taking baby home for that multi-day simulation experience, although the focus of why they're taking it home differs based on what the curriculum is. Now, if you did nothing else to prepare your students, we recommend the following 4 resources. First of all, in your Real Care curricula, there is something called the Care Simulation Directions. And it's just a short written document that shows the steps you do for handling the care events. Now, once students read through that, then you can give them the written quiz. It's called the Readiness Quiz. It's just a 1-page quiz, and it goes into asking questions about what they do during a simulation. And if your students pass that quiz, you know they've been listening and they're now ready to have baby put in their hands. So you'll play them the participant care video, that 9-minute video that shows other students caring for baby, and it goes step by step through each of the 4 care events. So they've read about it, they've passed a quiz, they've watched the video, now you go into demo mode. And again, you can learn more about demonstration mode in a webinar we're going to be pointing out at the end of the session. Now, here are a few best practice tips for using baby in your program. If you haven't already done so, we urge you to go through the simulation yourself. Do it over a weekend or over a night. And if you go through it, you'll really understand what your students' experience is like, and it will really enhance your whole appreciation and knowledge of the program. Another thing to do is early on in the unit, even if you're not using babies right away, get them out and display them around the classroom. We've had many teachers tell us that that is the reason why students are taking the class to begin with. They want that baby experience. So build that anticipation, get them excited about it early on. Now, there are several forms that need to go out to parents and to students before they can participate with the baby program. You want to make sure you send those out far enough in advance so you can get all the signatures and have them returned in time for the students to participate. Now, on what we call delivery day, when babies are deployed or when they're returning, it's a busy time. There are many moving parts and pieces, and we want to make sure everything goes smoothly. So if at all possible, if you could assign an assistant, a student assistant or two to help you with that process, that we know is a great help. And lastly, because there are so many accessories and supplies and things, we urge you to use things like bins, baskets, rolling carts, things of that nature to keep everything together and organized. And again, we have a webinar devoted just to that topic alone that you can watch. A few more best practices for when you're programming. Earlier, we mentioned that there are 15 programs or schedules available. And again, you know your students best and what will work for them and what your focus is or what you want to teach them. So choose schedules accordingly. And again, with those high-risk students, don't be afraid to put them on the difficult schedule because they really need to understand what it would be like to be a teen parent. And again, if you have middle school students or perhaps special needs students, you might want to choose those easier schedules for that. Now, we recommend that you do more than one night because we have found that with one night, they really don't take it as seriously. It's still fun. It's like an overnight slumber party. But by that second and third night, that's when reality hits. They are learning that they're sleep deprived and it's impacting their social life, and it is no fun. It's difficult. Now, we have a Real Care Customer Advisory Council made up of teachers and Real Care customers from around the country that have a lot of experience with baby. So we asked the question to them in this webinar, what best practice would you share with our attendees today? And here's what they wrote. First of all, teacher Shannon Smith advises the following. Make sure the consequences of failing the program are understood and agreed on by your administration, guidance counselors, students, and parents. If a situation with a student arises, you want the backup from your administration and guidance counselors. Now, her students sign a form the first day. They also take it home for parents to sign, stating no matter what, they'll take the baby home and they understand that failure of the project will most likely result in failure of the course. If they don't sign that, they're referred to the guidance office for changing the class. Now, another longtime customer and teacher, Madeline Gurney, offers the following suggestions. If teachers have stored their dolls over the summer and are not planning on using them till October or later, because of where the curriculum lands, she suggests the following. Many of her first level students take the class strictly because of the baby simulators. Now, she's a firm believer in building previous knowledge upon previous knowledge on current topics. So she does a baby introduction. She brings out her babies and supplies, and she has the classes clean the babies according to the care procedures. She has them double check the inventory of the clothing, the bottles, etc. And she has her babies coded with, each has the IDs, the clothes, and accessories all in a diaper bag coded to that baby. That way she can quickly double check the inventory and students get to handle the babies and see what comes with them. She explains briefly how the babies are to be handled, what those future assignments will be like, and then fields any questions that they have during the slow time at the beginning of the class so that she actually has them more ready for actually when they do the simulation. Now, this puts ownership onto the students because they're preparing the babies for their own class. After that step's done, she plugs them in overnight for the recommended once every 3 months charge. And this way she knows she is ready, things are clean, she's got all the things she needs, and when the curriculum appears on the schedule, she's ready to deploy. There's no running around. All she has to do is program them. And she says she does her diagnostic time at at this time as well early on, so she knows way ahead of time if things aren't working, she has time to get them checked out. So Madeline knows what she's doing, and those are great suggestions. A few of our other advisory council members had the following to say. Letting students feel and hear the babies helps them concentrate more on the task at hand when you assign the simulators. They'll recognize the cries better, be more relaxed when handling babies on their own, and it's a win-win situation for both instructor and student. One of our council members said, I introduced my drug, alcohol, and shaken baby simulators to my class so we can, and also not only my class, but my other teachers, so that we can discuss possible cross-curricular activities during the year. And she has a demonstration table available for the beginning year open houses, so she can also speak to parents about that program. And she further does a demonstration to her local advisory board members at their September meetings as well. We have another member who said she introduces her pregnancy profile simulator to students at the beginning of the year. There's no demonstration, she just shows it to them, the pieces and parts, and briefly explains the simulation so that if anyone has any medical reasons they can't participate, they can get the proper documentation signed first. Now, we have many, many product support resources available that we would like to share with you today prior to ending the webinar. First of all, we'll take you out to our RealityWorks webpage. Now, when you go to our homepage here, our store is located in the upper right-hand corner. I'm sorry, here's the store. If you clicked on this, the arrow would take you to the store, and depending on the products and accessories you wanted, you would click on the appropriate one and could order, and it's very, very easy. Now, if you want to go into product support, you click on support, and this takes you to the support page. And you go into real care support, and this is where you can scroll down, and you'll see there's many different topics, and if you clicked on the appropriate topic, say getting started, would take you to tips to getting started related videos and documents. We highly recommend the Real Care Program tutorial. It's a 20-minute getting started video that will cover some of the same information we did today, but also go more in depth on the parts, pieces, and also the programming using the software. So that's just a little bit about some of the product support resources we have available. Another area I'd like to point out, if you scroll down far enough, it's called the free RealityWorks webinars. And if you click on view webinars, there are a list of upcoming free webinars that you can register for, but also archived webinars. And there's a few that I want to point out to you today that I've referenced. Always at the top of the list will be the upcoming webinars that you can sign up for, like this one. And then when you scroll down, you'll see past webinars. Now, if you are brand new to the program and have never worked with baby or have very limited experience, the Where Do I Begin with Real Care Baby will be a perfect one for you to start with. It runs about a half hour, and you click on it and can watch it, and it will really take you through a good introduction of how to begin, what you have, how to program, again, and how to read those results. So that's a really, really good one for you to know about. The other one I want to share with you is Getting Organized. And this one was dedicated solely to how to store and keep things well organized in your program. And this features a lot of tips and a lot of photos from around the country sent in by Real Care teachers that show what they're using and what's working out in the field. So at this time, we would open it up for any questions that you might have.
All right, so at this time, for those of you who have any questions, go ahead and utilize that questions and answers button in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And Denise is happy to answer as she is able to. Give everyone a moment to type any questions if they have any. All right, well, it just may be that we have no questions today. If that's the case, wonderful. We hope you enjoyed the information that was presented. If you do find yourself with a question after the webinar, you can feel free to get a hold of us by calling the number right on our homepage or emailing us right at information@realityworks.com. And I do see one question. Lynn is asking, she inherited several babies and their Real Care baby, 2. Okay, great. And Lynn, are you hoping for some? Oh, she's not sure how they can be programmed. So Denise, what resources might Lynn utilize to determine how they could be programmed?
We actually recommend that you call into our 1-800 number and ask to talk with our product support staff. They are terrific with being able to assess what you have with older babies, and if you are able to make them work. Real care babies are actually technology that's no longer supported. It's
The
quite
twos.
old.
Okay.
Yes, the twos. So I would recommend starting with product support, giving them a call at the 800 number you see on the screen in front of you. Another place to look, again, is our product support web pages. There are some old documentation available for some of the older models out there, but I think your best bet would be to call product support.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Denise. And Nikki is asking how you troubleshoot the older babies.
Again, our product support
Same,
staff is perfect for that. They deal with that every day on the phone, and they are experts at being able to analyze and troubleshoot. So go ahead and call them. They are available every day, Monday through Friday, so please call.
Truly. Thanks, Denise. Mary is asking, do I have the care video or should I go online for this video?
You may have the care video. It used to be available if you've got a slightly older program on a DVD, but now it's available online. If you've recently purchased babies, you received a link. However, it is available for free on our product support website. And if you go to realityworks.com under support, and I'm going to try to find it now so I can show it to you. And if you scroll down under the topic of real care support, and it's participant experience, you can watch that and launch that video for free right from this link here. And if it's the Real Care Participant Care video, it's that 9-minute video right here. If I clicked here, it would launch it and you could show it to your class right from here.
There you go. Thanks, Denise. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions at this time? Well, we've had some great questions asked. Thanks for that. And again, if anyone has any lingering questions once the webinar ends, don't hesitate to give us a call. We want to make sure that you guys have all the resources and help that you need to run your program successfully.
Thank you for attending today, and we hope you have a great school year.